Did you know that there are several differences between the original version of Bluey and the version you watch? This happens in the episode where we see Jack's dad searching for his son's school in his car and talking to two dogs in a field. And when they're talking, he says he's not from there and can't find his son's school. To which the character informs that she's also not from there, but from Argentina. And the other character, with a different accent, says he's from France. And precisely because of this accent, Disney looked and thought it would be better for the character not to say he was French, but he claims to be a backpacker, a kind of tourist. Even in the Russian version of Bluey, he says he's a tourist. Disney's intention was to avoid the stigma that French tourists have a strong accent. But was that really necessary? After all, Jean-Luc also speaks French. Anyway, Disney and its silly modifications.
I'm not from around here, so...
Neither are we. I'm from Argentina.
And I'm from France.
Rightio. Well, could I borrow your phone?
That's why we've compiled scenes and situations in Bluey that are completely different in other countries that you have no idea about. So grab your popcorn and get ready, because another Team Videos is starting. In episode 40 of the first season, called Premature Baby, we see the group that was playing hospital with Indy ending up in a clash with the boys who play Knights. But the change that was made only on the UK channel that broadcast Bluey, which happened for regional reasons, was the change from the famous Red Cross used by medical emergency teams worldwide to a purple cross. This is because the channel representatives argued that the Red Cross symbol is used only by the Red Cross organization, and this could cause problems for the broadcaster.
I can use my wet flannel. Thanks. But before you touch her, you have to wash your hands with soap.
We know that Australia is a unique country full of peculiarities, and we can see that many aspects of Australian culture are present in the Bluey cartoon, as the healers live in the city of Brisbane in the state of Queensland. One of the strongest characteristics we see in Bluey originating from Australia is its language. And you might think, well, they speak English there, right? Yes, they do speak English, but because it's a country that's quite far away from all the other English-speaking countries, Australia has words that are part of its dialect that are not used in any other country. For example, in many original episodes of Bluey, when the characters want to refer to the bathroom, they use the term dunny, which is actually the term toilet everywhere else. Dunny is a very Australian expression and refers to those outdoor toilets that used to be outside houses. That's why in many countries, the term used was simply toilet instead of dunny, as many people wouldn't understand what the word meant. I myself had never heard of it. In the same vein of distinctive language, another word frequently used by the Australian and original version of the show was the word capsicum. No, this is not the name of a newly released video game. It's just the term that Australians use to refer to what we call peppers, those large vegetables that come in different colors. This is because outside of Australia, this word is not widely known by most people. So, in all versions outside of Australia, the term used was indeed pepper. Another change occurred in the episode Keepy Uppy, the third one of the first season, and it also happened in the UK broadcast. It occurred in the scene where Bluey is making an effort to blow up a balloon. If you pay attention, you'll see that she makes a funny expression as if she's struggling to inflate the balloon, right? Well, CBeebies, the British subscription television channel, thought that this scene might be, let's say, inappropriate for children with asthma. For this reason, in the UK, the scene was skipped to avoid encouraging children with asthma to blow up a balloon. Believe it or not.
Morning, last balloon.
In the episode Taxi, we have a quite different change, considered by many to be somewhat contradictory. Right at the end of the episode, after the family has spent the day playing taxi, hence the episode's name, we see Bandit saying that he wants to talk to the pilot of the plane they're on. And when he says that, Bluey turns in her seat wearing a pilot's cap. Then she makes a disappointed face and says something like, "Oh, biscuits." Right after that, Bingo pretends to vomit on her father's lap. So this scene was broadcast without any issues in countries like Australia and Poland, but it was considered too much for residents of the United States, for some reason that no one knows for sure. As soon as Bandit says biscuits, the screen goes black, and we don't see Bingo simulating vomiting. If you've made it this far, you surely enjoy Bluey too. So to prove that you're part of our fan club, comment below, #Bandit, in honor of the dad of the cutest little dogs on TV. In the second official episode of Bluey's story, there was already a small difference between the original and the version broadcast in other countries. And this difference was nothing less than in the episode's title, which in Australia was called Hospitals, which would be like a plural of the word. In versions broadcast in all other countries, the title was changed to Hospital, and the S was removed from the episode's introduction. We're not sure if this change is really due to cultural issues or if it was just an editing mistake by the show's team. But the fact is that the change exists. Returning to language and cultural differences, we see another change for this reason in the episode Horsey Ride. It's the same episode where the girls make their dads, who are brothers, pretend to be horses and even try to have a horse wedding. But the change had nothing to do with the equine canine wedding. In fact, the scene that ended up being modified happened right at the beginning of the episode when Muffin arrives at her cousin's house and shows them her pair of sandals, which are very common in Australia, but also in many other parts of the world. The detail is that in Australia, this item is called thong by the locals, but in the UK and in many parts of the world, thongs are the bottom part of a woman's bikini when going to the beach. For this reason, in the UK, the scene was cut, and in other parts of the world, its name was changed to sandals. In another funny episode of Bluey, there's a scene that is only seen in Australia but is different in various other parts of the world. It happens when Bandit is eating sauerkraut at the family's barbecue area, and right after, he sneezes because despite loving sauerkraut, it seems that he's allergic to it. So, to avoid encouraging children with allergies to eat things recklessly, TV broadcasters in various other countries show a different scene where Bandit, instead of sneezing, actually burps. This was an intelligent way to address the issue without completely removing the scene from the show. Remember the case of the sandals that people in Australia love to wear because it's an extremely hot country? In the UK, they still posed a problem, mainly in terms of their name. This is because in the episode The Pool, where we see Bandit telling Bluey and Bingo to get their thongs because they're going to the pool and the ground is very hot. The problem is that maybe you don't remember, but we talked a few minutes ago in this very video, but in Australia, the name people use for sandals is thong. So it would be a bit strange for the father to ask his 6- and 4-year-old daughters to get their thongs to go to the pool, wouldn't it? That's why in almost all countries, the term thong was replaced with sandals, as keeping it would make little sense to people in these countries. Another change between versions in different countries happened when the episode Army was broadcast in the United States. In the episode, we see Rusty teaching Jack how to behave in the Army, as his father was in the Army and told him various things about what life was like there. And at a certain point, when they're talking in the treehouse, Rusty asks Jack why he changed schools, and Jack says, "There's something wrong with me," and begins describing some symptoms that clearly indicate he has attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, known as ADHD. In the version that was broadcast in the United States, his line was changed from "There's something wrong with me" to "There's something going on with me." Disney thought it was better to change this line in the land of Uncle Sam to avoid problems with organizations related to attention deficit disorder. Guys, it's really fun to make Bluey videos, even if it's to show 10 things and scenes that are different in other countries. And these 2 videos that are appearing for you now were also a lot of fun to make, so we put them here for you to watch. Just choose one of them and click on it. Have fun!